guys, welcome to MTG Hacks. This week I'm going to be going over one of my 5-color decks. As always, the deck list will be in the description, so if you want to see it all in its entirety, you can visit there, or you can just watch me go through it all together. So here we go. So right now we're going over Cromat. He's a unique commander. I'll explain what he is, but let me kind of go through a little bit of what the theme of the deck is, because 5-color, there's so many options that you can go with. So the concept of this is meant for 5-color hate bear. So it's going to be utilizing a lot of cards that hurt my opponent, but then give me some type of a benefit in some caliber or another. So Cromat's really awesome. He's 5 colors. He's a 5/5 legend. His actual creature type is Illusion. He's an old card from Apocalypse. But he has 5 abilities, and they're all opposing colors. So black, white, destroy target creature blocking or blocked by Cromat. Blue, red, Cromat gains flying. Black, green, you could regenerate him. Red, white, you can give him a +1/+1 buff. Or green, blue, and you can put him on top of your deck. All of those yield quite an amazing bonus for him. The one that I use the most is the top one, the black-white one, because then it destroys a blocked or blocking creature, and that's before combat damage. So the creature is automatically dead. So a little stronger in Death Touch. So first we're going to be going over the land base. Right now I am playing 46 lands. I have one of each of the original duels. So there's going to be 10 of these. The power of the dual lands are the fact that they are the type that they are. So as an example right here, we have Volcanic Island. It's blue-red. It counts as blue and red, so an island or a mountain. So if there's a card that says all mountains get add an additional mana, this would add an additional mana, unless it specifically says basic mountain. That's a different aspect. But the biggest benefit to these is that you can fetch them out using fetch lands or various other cards that you'll see later on in the deck tech. So one of each, and then I play one of each of the shock lands. They are the expedition, so there's Stomping Ground, there's Godless Shrine, which is black-white, Temple Garden is green-white, Hallowed Fountain is white-blue, Overgrown Tomb is black-green, Steam Vents is blue-red, Watery Grave is blue-black, Blood Crypt is black-red, Sacred Foundry is red-white, Breeding Pool is blue-green. So there's one of each of those. That they also yield the same benefits that the original dual lands have. So they count as the type that they are. So it's very beneficial, very amazing for you. So there's those. And then now we get into some of the fetch lands. So I play 7 fetches. So I play 20 dual lands. I play 7 fetches because I want to make sure I get the colors. So there's Misty Rainforest, which searches out blue-green. Verdant Catacombs is black-green. Scalding Tarn is blue-red. Arid Mesa is red-white. Bloodstained Mire is black-red, my apologies. Wooded Foothills is green-red. Flooded Strand's white-blue. The reason why it seems like there's a little bit more blue-oriented in these is because blue is the dominant color of this deck by a lot. So then we have some utility lands, which one of them's Reflecting Pool, just allows me to add 1 mana of any color that I can produce. So if I have one of each dual land or a command tower, I'll be able to add 1 of any color with this card. Flamekin Village, I really like it. I don't play any elementals, so it always comes into play tap, but let me read this for you. As Flamekin Village enters the battlefield, you may reveal an elemental card from your hand. If you don't, Flamekin Village enters the battlefield tapped. You could tap it for red, or you could pay red and tap it, and target creature gains haste. So I can use that actually on my opponent's creatures too, if I'm trying to help them out. Then I have Command Tower, which obviously just a no-brainer there. I play one Strip Mine just because I have a lot of my friends who play some annoying lands, so I want to make sure I can get them taken care of. Then I have 3 filters. So Graven Cairns is the black-red filter. So if I pay a red or a black, I could get black-black, black-red, or red-red. Same goes with Sunken Runes, which is black-blue. Same concept. And then Cascade Bluffs, blue-red. Then I have 2 man lands. I play Celestial Colonnade. And then I play Creeping Tar Pit because I want to utilize the blue a little bit more, and those lands are amazing. Great finishers. Now we're getting into the creatures. As always, what I like to do is separate them by converted mana cost, and then I like to incorporate kind of what they do. So Serra Ascendant's not a hate bearer in the sense that he hinders my opponents. He just comes down first turn as a 6/6 flyer because with lifelink. So he's 1 mana for a 1/1 lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, Serra Ascendance gets +5/+5 and has flying. I want to clarify that this card is banned in the French rules, but this is a multiplayer deck, so he is not banned. Then I have Deathrite Shaman. I like him a lot just because he works very similar to a Planeswalker. It's just a black-green hybrid. You can do 1 of 3 abilities. You could tap him, exile a land from any graveyard, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, or I can pay about black, tap it, exile target instant or sorcery card from any graveyard, and each opponent loses 2 life. Or I could pay green, tap it, and exile a creature from any graveyard to gain 2 life. The reason why I like him is he's a good deterrent early on. It stops reanimators, deals with a lot of threats relatively quickly. Then we have Scavenger Goose. He's just a good overall creature. He's 2 mana, 2/2. You could pay 1, exile any card from any graveyard. If it is a creature, I could put a 1/1 counter on him and I gain a life. So it's just stopping my opponents. You gotta hate on graveyards just because Commander utilizes them so much. Snapcaster Mage, you'll see the package that's included with this deck a little on down the road. So you got Snapcaster, gives you an instant or sorcery that you can flash back. Then this is where some of the hate bear comes in. So you got Aven Mindcensor. He flashes for 3 mana. It's a 2/1 flyer. If an opponent would search their library, that player searches the top 4 cards of that library instead. So he flashes, he flies. So if someone tries to crack a fetch or do a Demonic Tutor or even just a Kodama's Reach as an example, you could stop them and make them potentially miss, which is fantastic. I like Kira the Great Glass Spinner. 3 mana, flying legendary spirit. Creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time in a turn, counter that spell or ability. So it's a great way to protect your stuff. And then we have Anafenza the Foremost. This is also another graveyard hate bear concept. So it's the Abzan colors for a 4/4 legendary human soldier. When Abzan attacks, Anafenza, my apologies, you can put a 1/1 counter on another target tapped creature I control. If a creature would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, it's exiled. That's actually the biggest part, is that if it's from anywhere. So if someone mills you numerous cards, or an opponent, numerous cards, this will actually make those exiled. So as an example, if someone does a Ulamog or a Kozilek, the old versions of them that shuffle their library, this will actually exile them. They'll still get the shuffle, but they won't shuffle in the Eldrazi, which is fantastic. Then we have Notion Thief. This is a great little card. So he's 4 mana for a 3/1 flash. If an opponent would draw a card except for the first one he or she draws in each of his or her draw steps. Instead, that player skips that draw and I draw a card. So if someone is going to go out there and do a Sphinx's Revelation or Blue Sun Zenith or Stroke of Genius or some variation thereof, this will actually make it to my opponent gets no benefit from it and I get all the benefits, which is fantastic. Now we got Linvala, Keeper of Silence. So it's a 4-mana, 3/4 Flying Angel that's a legendary creature. Activated abilities of your opponents cannot be activated. So it allows you to stop your opponent. So let's just kind of give you an example here. If someone had Cromat on their side, you couldn't use these abilities. So it'd stop you from utilizing some well-needed tech. Then we have Olivia Valderon, pardon me. It's a 4-mana for a 3/3 flying legendary vampire. I use this a lot, and it has been so amazing to be able to steal my opponent's creatures, but let's kind of go through this. So it's 2 mana. Olivia deals 1 damage to another target creature. That creature becomes a vampire in addition to its other types, and you put a 1/1 counter on Olivia. You could pay 5 mana and gain control of a vampire as long as I control Olivia, which is fantastic. So this card alone has won me games. You play it, drop it down, start pinging their guys. It's amazing. And Olivia becomes quite a threat really quickly. Then we have Kalidas, Trader of Jet, or Get. It's 4 mana for a 3/4 Vampire Warrior with lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die instead, that exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. You could pay 3, sacrifice another vampire or zombie, and put 2 1/1 counters on Kalidas. It's a great card. Great card. Then we have Venser, Shaper Savant. It's 4 mana, 2/2 flash legendary human wizard. When Venser enters the battlefield, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. So those cards that say you can't counter it, this technically will stop the resolution of the spell because it doesn't counter it. It just returns it back to their hand. So the spell never resolves. So it's good if someone is trying to do any type of variation, like an obliterate, which destroys all permanents, basically. But it can't be countered. So this will at least stop it for a turn. Then you got Teferi, which is 5 mana for a 3/4 flash legendary human. Creature cards you own that are not in play have flash. Each opponent can play spells only anytime he or she can play a sorcery. So they can't counter your stuff. And your stuff has flash. Fantastic. Love it, love it. Sirach, Dragonclaw. He is from the Temur guild. He is 5 mana, 6/6 flash. Sirach can't be countered. Creature spells you control can't be countered. And other creatures have trample. So an amazing cost-effective creature. Then you got Urbras the Hidden. I love the Praetors just because they give you the exact epitome of a hate bear. Is that my creatures have haste, my opponent's creatures come into play tapped. So even if they did have haste, they don't have it anymore. It's quite an amazing power here. Then I play Sigarda, Host of Herons. 5 mana, 5/5 flying, hexproof. Spells and abilities your opponents control cannot cause you to sacrifice permanents. Super awesome. All right, let's kind of run through that. Then we got Xenagos, God of Revels. The devotion really isn't pertinent right here, but it is an amazing concept. He's indestructible enchantment for 5 mana. He's a 6/5 if you have devotion, red and green. He is at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is that creature's power. So you'll see here in just a minute why that's pertinent. You got Consecrated Sphinx. Whenever an opponent draws a card, I could draw 2. Prime Speaker Zagana. When he, as he enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counters, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. And then you draw cards equal to his power. So it's always, if you have a 5/5, you'll draw 6, because he already is a 1/1. This one's so much fun. When this card first got spoiled, I really enjoyed this card. So it's 6 mana. He's a black, blue, 4 colorless. He's the Devoid 5/7 Eldrazi. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library, and I draw 2 cards. I play against a lot of people that utilize mana ramp. So if they go out there and they do Cultivate or Explosive Vegetation or some variation of that, is I'm benefiting off that, especially how fast I could throw that out here. So Duplicant's just good just because he kills something. So he comes into play in Prince. When Duplicant comes into play, you may remove target non-token creature from the game. So it's gone for as long as it's imprinted on him. As long as the creature is imprinted on Duplicant, Duplicant has the creature's power, toughness, and creature type. I do want to clarify with this is that if the creature that you imprint has 1/1 counters on it, he does not retain the 1/1 counters. He just does the printed card's power and toughness. Then you got Dizella, which if a source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. If a source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half that damage round up. So it's hurt you more, protect me more. I love this card because this is kind of my secret tech. Angel of the Dire Hour, 7 mana, flash, flying. When Angel of the Dire Hour enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, exile all attacking creatures. Saves my life so many times. Sheoldred, an amazing black creature. So 7 mana, 6/6 Swamp Walk, Legendary Praetor. At the beginning of my upkeep, so your upkeep, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. Then you got Avacyn, which just makes all my stuff indestructible. Pardon me, and that's actually a great one to utilize with the Xenagos, God of Revels, because then you could, there's a card in here later on that will allow me to put both of them into play at the same time. So I've done that numerous times, put him into play with Xenagos, and then I'm attacking for 16, and my guys are all indestructible. I call this one Nulamog, as most Magic players do. But it's 10 mana, 10/10, indestructible. When you cast him, you get to exile 2 permanents. When he attacks, the defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library. I've actually liked this a lot in comparison to the whole concept where it comes to Annihilator and what's the differences and what's stronger, exiling or making people sacrifice. I've actually found this to be a lot more threatening. I play one of the old Eldrazi just to keep me from milling myself out, but this one's actually the best. 10 mana for a 12/12. When you cast him, draw 4 cards, Annihilator 4, and when he go from the graveyard from anywhere, he shuffles my entire graveyard back into my deck. Now we're getting to the instants. So we have Cyclonic Rift, which is 2 mana, return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, or you can overload it for 7, which will replace all instances of the word target with each. So it would say return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. So it resets the board for your opponent. Hurts them, keeps me alive. Little bit of a mana ramp card, so Nature's Lore, search your library for forest, put it into play. Since I utilize all the dual lands, I can grab any version of a green land. So I could grab Tropical Island, which is blue-green. I could grab Bayou, which is black-green, as long as green is in the name. Then I got Farseek, which search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain, and put it into the battlefield tapped. Once again, since I utilize all the dual lands, I can actually grab any one of them. I have Demonic Tutor, which 2 mana, search my library for any card, put it into my hand. Super awesome. As you've already tested with my last one with Marath, is that Counselor's Judgment's one of my favorite cards. It just allows me to exile things that I typically couldn't target. So Will of the Council, starting with you, each player votes for a non-land permanent you don't control. Exile each permanent with the most votes or tied for the most votes. So Will of the Council is actually an ability. So each player would have to do responses before this spell resolves. So before voting is cast. So they can't do anything after you're already starting to vote. So as soon as you've decided, okay, I'm going to exile your Cromat, they can't say, well, in response, I'm going to put him back on my deck. They can't do that. So it's a great card. Super awesome card. Then we got Vindicate, which is 3 mana, destroy target permanent as a sorcery. So I could destroy lands. I've done this numerous times. Is that when someone's deck I know is a little more competitive, what I'll do is I'll destroy their lands to put them 1 land behind and me 2 ahead. Wheel of Fortune, 3 mana. Each player discards their hand and draws 7. So it's a good reset, especially early on. I've mentioned kind of my pros and cons with it in the last video. Now we got Recross the Path. Once another, same card as in Marath, but it's 3 mana. Reveal the top card of your library until a land is revealed. Put that land into play and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then you clash with an opponent. If you win the clash, Recross comes back to your hand. So clashing means that after this spell resolves, you reveal the top card. Whoever has the highest converted mana cost is the winner. If it's a tie, I automatically lose. It's kind of a thing. I've had it to where I've only casted it once. There's one time I've casted it 5 times. So it's kind of a hit or miss. Then we got Spoils of Victory, which is 3 mana. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, mountain, or forest, and put it onto the battlefield. I want to clarify, it doesn't say tapped. So I could grab literally any land in my deck that's a dual land, which is great. Sky Shroud Claim, such an amazing card. So it's 4 mana. Search your library for up to 2 forests and put them into play. Once again, not tapped. And since I play all the dual lands, they will come into play with a dual land attached to it. So it's awesome. Then we got Damnation. Just destroys all creatures. It's the Black Wrath of God. It's an amazing card. And we got Bribery, which search my opponent's library for a creature, put it into play under my control. 5 mana. I've been able to cast this second turn. So I've been able to steal someone's biggest, fattest creature on second turn, which is kind of ridiculous. Austere Command. I love the flexibility with this card. So it's 6 mana, choose to destroy all artifacts, or destroy all enchantments, or destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less, or destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 4 or greater. And you get to choose 2 of those, which are awesome. This is a card that has referencing that allows me to grab 2 creatures, put them straight into play. It's called Tooth and Nail. So it's 7 mana. You choose 1. Search your library for up to 2 creatures. Reveal them and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Or put up to 2 creatures from your hand onto the battlefield. If you entwine it, I get to do both of these. So for 9 mana, I get to search for 2 creatures, put them into my hand, and then put 2 creatures from my hand into play, which is very relevant because you can actually plan for a later game if you already have one of the bigger creatures in your hand at that point. Now we're going to instances, which is Vampiric Tutor. It's 1 black, an instant. Search your library for any card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of your deck, and then you lose 2 life. Good way to kind of search out what I want. Swords to Plowshare, one of the best creature kills in the game. Exile a creature and its controller gains life equal to its power. Or Path to Exile, which exiles a creature and its controller searches for a basic land, puts it into play tapped. This is a Russian mana drain. So it's 2 mana, it's an instant, counter target spell. Then at the beginning of your next pre-combat main phase, add X mana to your mana pool, where X is that spell's casting cost. So if I counter a spell that's 5 mana, I get 5 colorless mana at my next main phase. Pre-combat main phase. Sphinx's Revelation, so it's put it in the 3 slot, even though you never cast it for 3, but it's double blue, white, and X. You gain X life and draw X cards. Just a good way to refill the hand after a little bit. Void Slime, one of my favorite and most versatile counter spells in my honest opinion. So it's blue, blue, green, instant, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Mana abilities cannot be targeted. So if I were to try to counter this first ability, I could actually do that. Don't know why I would, but I could. Beast Within is 3 mana. It's an instant. Destroy target permanent. Its controller puts a 3/3 beast onto the battlefield. In Commander, and especially with the power level of the cards that I'm playing with, 3/3 beast isn't anything to worry about, especially since I can literally kill anything. Oh, you have a 10/10, I turned it into a 3/3 vanilla creature that does nothing. I like this Abzan Charm because it does everything I literally need it to do. So it's Abzan colors, choose 1, exile target creature with power 3 or greater, or draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, or distribute 2 1/1 counters on counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. So I could help my opponent, I could draw more cards, I could kill something. Cryptic Command, it's 3 mana, 3 blue and then a colorless. Instant, choose 2. Counter target spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, tap all creatures your opponents control or draw a card. So it gives me such a variety of things to do, and it's a pretty foil. Utter End, which is 4 mana, 1 white, 1 black, 2 colorless, exile target non-land permanent. Not as good as Vindicate, but then better in certain circumstances because the exile effect is actually very pertinent in Commander. Fact or Fiction, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those into 2 face-up piles. Put one of them into your hand and the other one into your graveyard. So it's a great way to fill it up. Force of Will is 5 mana, the best counter spell. You may pay 1 life and remove a blue card from your hand. The rest of the stuff is just saying you can't redirect it or prevent it or anything. Instead of paying its mana cost, so you could pay 1 life and remove a blue card in your hand from the game to counter target spell. That's what it is. Or you could pay 5 mana just to cast it. Dig Through Time, in this type of a deck, I'm actually not utilizing my graveyard as effectively as I do in some other decks, but it's still a good card. So it's 8 mana, Delve. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, put 2 of them in your hand and the rest on the bottom in any order. So Delve allows you to lower the cost, and with 7 fetches and a lot of other various spells that are kind of more of a one-of. Now we're getting into artifacts. So Mana Crypt is an amazing artifact. So it's 0 cast, so no cast. It's an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Mana Crypt deals 3 damage to you. But you tap it and deal add 2 mana. So even if you lose the flip, this still happens. You could still add mana. What I do with this is I grab a 6-sided dice and I roll it and I say, okay, odds. And if I get odds, then I don't get dealt damage. Then you have Soul Ring. Well, 1 mana just adds 2, which is obvious. Sensei's Divining Top, a good filter. Most people know this, but just in case you don't, it's 1 mana to play, 1 to activate. Look at the top 3 cards of your library and put them back in any order. And then you can tap it and draw a card. Then put Sensei's Divining Top on top of its owner's library. Grim Monolith allows for some fast mana, so it's 2 mana. It does not untap, but you could tap it for 3 colorless, but you have to pay 4 mana to untap it. So it's make sure that when you use this, it's to put you so far ahead that the thing untapping won't matter. Then you got Chromatic Lantern, which 3 mana. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and you can tap this for any color. So it's a great way to add lots of mana, color fixing. It's just an amazing card. Then you have Oblivion Stone, which is 3 mana. You can put a fate counter on a target permanent, pay 5, sacrifice Oblivion Stone, destroy each non-land permanent without a fate counter on it, then remove all fate counters from all permanents. So it's a good board reset for 8 mana. 3 enchantments, and then we're done with this. So we got Sylvan Library, which is 2 mana. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand, draw on this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put that card on top of your library. Rhystic Study, I love this card. I've been falling in love with it for the past couple years. It's 3 mana, it's an enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't like it because it doesn't provide a guaranteed effect. Granted, when someone tries to cast 2 or 3 spells in a turn, this really hinders them. Even if they are paying for it, you just sucked 2 or 3 extra mana out of them. So it's stopping them from having open mana to deal with you later on. And it actually says whenever they cast it, so they have to pay the extra mana before their spell resolves. If they allow you to draw, you can end up countering the spell that they just played. Then we got Stranglehold, which is 4 mana. Your opponents can search their libraries, and if an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. Such an amazing card. I have locked people out with this card. It's so fun. So fun. All right, guys. Well, that's the extent of my 5-color hate bear. The purpose for me to run through that with you is I want you to kind of see my thought process and see where I've kind of allocated things. I am going to be taking this deck apart and putting together my 5-color dragon. And I'll have a video for you guys within a couple days or a week or something like that. Depends on how the week goes. But as always, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks, guys.